Hey, welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be discussing why sellers are feeling very, very hopeless in today's market. It almost sometimes can feel like the market's crashing and you feel like you've missed the boat. Why isn't my home selling? What's going on? And is this the beginning? Buyers, you might be feeling the same. It's kind of this weird market where it's a great time to buy, but it's almost so slow. You're kind of wondering, like, is this a terrible time to buy? Like, should I wait until like the market actually crashes and falls? Well, guys, I'm here to tell you exactly what's happening today. We're going to go over November stats because it is the beginning of December. We have a full 30 days of November to show you what has occurred in the market. I'm going to go in today trends, and then I'm going to give you some insight as to what you might expect going into 2025. There are some exciting things in sellers. I will tell you, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I'll explain exactly why I say that. And there also is something you might not expect. And I don't know if this is going to play out, but I have a theory that if something happens in the real estate market, we could see the first year of a rarity where home prices actually do drop. I don't think that's going to happen, but there is something happening in the market where it could. And so I'm going to show you all that today. Guys, I'm working on getting a better software here because last live, it was a little bit choppy when I showed the graph. So hopefully it doesn't do that today. But just know in the coming weeks, we are going to get a different software. The production quality is going to be all that much better. And you guys are going to really be able to sink in the chair with me and feel like you're in the room as we're going through these things. Before we dive in and I share my screen today, though, please comment, where are you joining me from? I'd really love to know. Are you in Colorado? Are you out of state? Getting market insights because you're looking to move here. Where are you from? And also, don't forget to drop your questions in the comments. We will get to those. And for those of you who just want to like completely skip the line of going through these different videos and learning about the market, and you just want to sit down and talk with me, my number is 303-332-1108. We could just dive in on a phone call, schedule a Zoom. Can't wait to connect with you guys. Let's get into market stats. And don't forget to comment as we move forward here. So first things first, we haven't went through this, but we want to look at Megan Aller. She is the stats queen of Denver real estate. She is really, really, really good at what she does here. And generally speaking, when I'm doing market research and insights, I'm looking at Megan's stats first. Then I'm going to my company. They do a really good deep analysis along with articles and other statistical data. But for the most part, these are the where I go to get kind of the foundational updates in the market. And so we're just going to go in here. As we wrap up November 2024 in the greater Denver metro area, the attached single family real estate market exhibited the seasonal anticipated trends we expect this time of year. I'll explain that here in a second. Market activity slowed as sellers and buyers shifted focus during holiday season. Time on market extended. Guys, that's where you sellers are feeling it. Fewer new listings were added. This is a really, really good sign. And some sellers opted to pull listings in anticipation for better conditions in spring. Guys, we're not going to go over HOA dues, CIC. Boring, at least for you guys. For us real estate nerds, yeah, like I'm definitely going into this. But let's get to market highlights. And why I'm not talking a lot about this paragraph is because we're going to cover it here. So inventory trends. Active inventory declined this month, reflecting seasonal patterns. Sellers are increasingly aware that prime listing months typically occur between March and May. Guys, light at the end of the tunnel. If you were looking to sell your home here in Colorado, March and May, even if you're in January, it's going to be better in December, November, and October. February is going to be better than January. And then March and May is really the prime time for you to get your house on the market and sell for the most amount of money possible. I'll show you why when we get into the charts. Demand. Pending transactions softened last month, but showed significant improvement year over year. Closed transactions followed expected seasonal trends. Guys, seasonal trends is a good thing, okay? your hopelessness feeling, kind of the worrisome, are we at the start of a crash or a downward trend of the market? Um, it's just seasonal trends, right? If we aren't seeing seasonal trends in here, that's when we worry. But if the market is acting in a way that's seasonal trending, that's good. That's good. That means the market is doing what it's supposed to do. And this is really good, guys. This is really good for our market. And I'll tell you why when we get to my theory of what could potentially happen to make the market depreciate in home values year over year, which is very rare. We haven't had that. Gosh, I want to say since 2008. Don't quote me on that, but we'll get to that in a sec. But guys, really, really good to know that demand is strong, relatively speaking. Pricing dynamics. After a rebound in October, prices experienced typical seasonal softening. Fluctuations in average median prices this year highlight unique market dynamics. Yeah, very unique, guys. Very unique. I'm telling you, you'll go on some streets, some neighborhoods, some cities where the market feels really, really hot, relatively speaking, for a December market. And then you're going to find some markets where it really is worrisome. And you really kind of start to consider, what's going on here? Like, why aren't these selling? You're seeing prices drop, etc. So fluctuations, yeah, they are happening, and it is very unique in terms of the market dynamics. Negotiation flexibility, guys, negotiations are happening all over. Over half of the homes sold last month closed below asking price with concessions. Reported in a majority of transactions, often helping buyers with closing costs or interest rate reductions. Guys, like if you're a seller, you're negotiating. Like chances are your house is going to sell for less than you're asking, and buyers are going to ask for concessions. And you always have a choice, but like not really if that's the way the market is. So just know that negotiations are happening. This is a really, really, really good time to buy. Buyer activity, while showing activity decline month over month, it remains strong compared to the same time last year. I'll show you this one as well. The extended days on market offers buyers more time to make informed decisions, but fast-moving listings continue to sell at or above the original price. Wait, fast-moving listings in November, December? Really? Like that's a thing? That's what I'm saying, guys. Like some neighborhoods, some blocks, some homes will still move relatively quick. Like I'm talking, within the first weekend or week. That's more of an anomaly. These homes are the outliers, but it still happens. That's it, guys. That's it for Megan Aller's report. Now, I'm going to show you some graphs, but I wanted to just check back in here. Any comments? Nothing at the moment. So let's dive in. Let me just end my share screen so I can get you guys to our chart data. And again, if you guys are just joining, let me know where you're joining from, what questions you have. And I just want to say I appreciate all of you who join this. Really, guys, as much as I love doing these videos, I don't want to do videos that just end on a blank screen, no views, etc. So I really, really appreciate your support. Don't forget to subscribe and like the channel because we are doing one of these every Wednesday. And I've considered doing market-specific updates. So we're thinking of certain cities, areas, neighborhoods. We'll do a live video and get really granular in terms of the content we're producing, more specifically catered to the specific area you're looking into. So let's get into some charts here, and then I'm going to give you why I think the shift is coming, what that shift is, and the good, the bad, and the ugly of what we could potentially see coming in 2025. Market brief. So with drawn listings, guys, this is really, really good. So in Megan Aller's report up here, you could see that active inventory is declining in that sellers are taking their home off the market. Well, what we could see here, and this is a really, really, really good sign, is that withdrawn listings, this yellow, is up. And it's not just up. Like this last week, it's significantly up. This is so good for us. So good for us. And I'll tell you why here in a second. But if we look at the Denver inventory trends, you can see this gap right here. This is why it feels so scary as a seller right now, worrisome. You may never sell your house. The crash is coming. You miss the boat. Don't worry, you didn't miss the boat. I think we have some positives going into 2025. And what we want to see is this gap closing. This gap is there's that much more inventory in 2024 than there was in 22, 23, 21, 2020. And as you could see, 2022 and 23, there was a big increase in inventory as opposed to 2020 and 2021. That's good. That's healthy. This is unhealthy. These lines down here, the teal and blue, that's unhealthy for a market, relatively speaking. This is a healthy market. This is good. This is kind of where we want to be, where we have a fairly balanced market to where there's positives for buyers, positives for sellers. But this is a little concerning. This is what might affect the market in 2025. But we're closing the gap, and this is really good. We don't want to see inventory continually increasing seasonally. We want this to drop, and there's a gap closing here, which is really, really good for market dynamics, of which I'll explain once I'm done with these charts and when we get into predictions for 2025. Expired listings, as you can see, 2024, this green line, we're seeing more listings going off the market, expiring, than we saw in 2022, 2023. Again, this is good. We want listings to fall off the market so we can close this gap. We don't want a tremendous amount of inventory up here, because the more for buyers, maybe, okay, like in a sense, for buyers, this big, huge inventory increase is why you're able to negotiate, because it's less competitive. So far this December, 71.4% of homes have sold below their original asking price. Sellers, this is why it's feeling worrisome. Oh my gosh. Not only is my house not selling, but all the homes selling around me are dropping price and selling for lower. Well, guys, look, this is typical and has been since 2022, 2023, 2024. And we're kind of back in that pre-pandemic market where like this is very, very common. 2018, it was at 70%, 70.5%. We're 71.4%. So pretty much the same market dynamics in terms of pricing as we saw in 2018. So relatively speaking, guys, we've got a fairly healthy market here. Going into 2025, sellers, here's where there is light at the end of the tunnel. Let's get into these charts again. I'm hoping these are not blurry for you guys as I'm going to share my screen again. I just want to encourage you guys, if you have any questions for me, numbers 303-332-1108. Guys, I am a licensed agent here in Colorado. I don't just do real estate. Like, I actually sell a lot of real estate and would love to help answer your specific questions, help you understand the market, and ultimately allow you to make smart real estate decisions. Sellers, here's your hope. Here's the light at the end of the tunnel. Here's the shift that I mentioned in the thumbnail. As you can see, average price per week. So what we're seeing here is in 2023, 22, and 21, same trends. You can see pricing drop in the first 4 weeks of January, and then all of a sudden, boom, every chart shows that it bounces back in the beginning of the year. Now, here's what's even more optimistic for you guys is these pricing trends are for homes that closed in December. So all of you listing in December you're creating this negative price drop here, but all of you listing in January, you're closing in February, and that's where you see these price increases. Okay, you could see it in all the charts, the light at the end of the tunnel. Like literally going back to 2017. Look how crazy this is, guys. Week 1 of January. Now, this is new listings, but it just goes to show you the activity level that happens in January. Now, new listings aren't great for you sellers, but relatively speaking, the charts show that beginning of January, you're going to see an increase in market activity, which is good. Now, ideally for sellers, we want new listings to kind of slow down. But under contract by week, this is probably the best graph I could possibly show you. week one to week two, you see a significant increase in homes going under contract per week, right? And so you see it's dead slow. End of December and week one, going into week 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, all the way to like 27. And then it kind of peaks and then falls down a little bit. Like, this is showing you that beginning of January, market activity since 2020, every graph is the same. Market activity increases. Now, you saw a little bit less of an increase in 2024, as referenced here, right? It's a little bit more flat, but still, you're going from 479 homes under contract to over 100 home increase in week 2, another 100 home increase in week 3, and you see kind of that pattern increase until that May-ish timeline, and then it starts to kind of stabilize and slow down, etc. But here is also what's promising, and then I'm going to get into where the market might actually not follow seasonal trends here in a second. But if you can see total number of showings, where are we at? There's my graph. Look at this. This gap is really, 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 really good for you sellers. Okay. This is showing, look at this significant gap. What this gap is showing you is how many, wait, hold on. Give me one sec. Let me make sure I'm showing you the right thing. Weekly showings per year. No. Okay, this is. But still, this is really, really good. This is showing you that there's this many more buyers than there was in 22 and 23. Now, that gap has shrunk, meaning there's less total number of showings, but that's seasonal trends. This is really good, I think, for everyone, because we want to ensure that supply and demand ratios stay relatively healthy. In the event they don't, well, what you get in 2021 and 2022 is like supply and demand where there was like 10 buyers for every one home. Well, if that flips, if we've got 10 homes for every one buyer, we're in a buyer's market, guys. We're back in 2008, right? So we want to see that supply and demand ratio stay relatively healthy. And by healthy, I mean, like, if we have inventory increasing and a significant gap in the amount of homes for sale, we want more buyers than we had in these previous years to keep that ratio fairly similar in markets in 2022 and 23, so that we can have an appreciating, healthy, fairly balanced market. And that's what we're seeing here. Guys, I would be very, very, very worried. Now, here's where the caveat to all this could come in. I think, relatively speaking, we're set up to have a really good spring and in a much more active market for you sellers. Now, where that could change, where we could potentially see a downward trending market, is if showing levels are down here, same as 22, 2023, and inventory levels increase. And that could potentially happening. But what I'm seeing here that's promising is that we're starting to close this inventory gap, right? Right here. We're starting to close that gap, which is good. Now, even though there's a gap, that's okay, because we have a gap here in total amount of showings. So even though we have increased inventory, we have increased buyer demand, as we're seeing here. If that remains to be the case, then I think we're good. I think we have a fairly decent 2025. I don't think we have any crazy appreciation numbers. Only way that would happen is if rates improve significantly. But if we're seeing a slight improvement in rates, or even a stabilized rate for 30-year mortgages in 2025, and these demand and supply ratios stay relatively similar to where they're at, I think we have a healthy market. But if rates improve quite drastically, showing demand will likely go up. There's more buyers in the market, and that will absolutely outpace inventory, even if inventory has this kind of crazy gap as it did in 2024. But if we get another big gap, let's say this gap right here, is now this red line's 24 and this yellow line's 2025, then we're in trouble, guys. If we have that much inventory, we likely won't have the buyer demand to continue the pace of a market that's appreciating. Now, with all that said, I think it's I don't know if I'd say it's rare or unexpected, but I'm more optimistic that we have a fairly healthy market in 2025 where we have fairly solid supply and demand ratios to where prices increase in spring, which generally they always do seasonally. And year over year, we end up in an appreciating market. So sellers, hold on, we're almost there. The shift is coming to where we should see more buyers into the market and your houses start to sell faster at more money going into spring of next year. But even in January, you will feel a shift in the market with more buyers entering the market. And let's just hope that there's not an abundance of listings that also hit the market at the same time. If we could create less inventory, but have more buyers, sellers, you're going to be in really, really, really good shape. Buyers, quite frankly, I think you're in decent shape in many of these circumstances. Now, ideally you buy in December. It's like October through December is buying season. But if you end up buying in this spring, I think we'll have a relatively balanced market where you will still be able to negotiate and get a fairly good deal for yourself, relatively speaking. And a lot of this is hyper local. So it depends on the market that you're in at that specific time. It depends on the neighborhood. It depends on the city and the area and the specific house. But relatively speaking, buyers, I think you're going to be in decent shape. Sellers, I think you're going to be in much better territory to sell your home come January, February, March, April, May. And guys, with that, we're done today. Thank you so much again for joining. It means the world that you guys are supporting the channel. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video so that you can be the first to be notified of the ever so changing real estate market landscape here in Denver, Colorado, and get the insights needed to make smart real estate decisions. And if you guys are actively considering a move, feel free to reach out to me. My number is 303-332-1108. I'm going to put this down in the comments for you guys. Reach out to discuss, and I'm going to put my email, your specific situation. And guys, look, I am a very, very low to no pressure kind of guy, like at all. Ultimately, I just want you guys set up for success. And whether that means we chat and then never speak again, all good. A lot of times we chat and then you end up doing something a year to 2 to 3 down the road. Like, I'm not saying you need to transact with me if you reach out. What I'm saying is reach out. I'm going to give you information, and whether we do a transaction or not, like, all good. Ultimately, I just want to be here for you as a resource to help you make smart real estate decisions, to help you think through what the right move is for you, and ultimately set you guys up for success. So please do feel free to reach out, and please let me know down in the comments what you want to hear next. We've been doing some general real estate market updates, but I'm thinking of either continuing this Wednesday live, and then we'll do a Monday and or Friday. That's a little bit more granular. We'll touch on the luxury market. We'll touch on specific cities, potentially specific neighborhoods. If I get the requests, we can do segments on townhomes and condos in Denver. Like, guys, I nerd out about stats and trends and market data. So if you give me a topic, we're going to dive in, and we're going to make sure that you guys have the download of the most recent data, information, trends about whatever specific area, topic, niche that you want. So please make sure to reach out. Again, thank you for joining the channel, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.